and welcome to week 5 of the Life in Quarantine podcast. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian, quarantined as usual.
Did you like that?
I mean, we're really not. I mean, we've said it on the show too. We are not as quarantined as other people, but we're still trying to do our civic duty as far as, the show goes.
Social isolation and all that stuff. And yeah, whenever we're not at work, we're socially isolating for the most part. I do need to, I can't fully take credit for the name. That's Mike Herrera, who's the lead singer of MXPX. He does a Friday, every Friday he does a live stream.
Yeah.
And that's Life in Quarantine is what he calls his live stream. But I thought it was a perfect name for our show, since our show's life in general. So
right. Well, and he kind of got the name sort of from a song written by him. So
well, Life in General is an MXPX album, but I didn't really get the name from that. I think it's just kind of a coincidence, but at least it was subconscious. I didn't intentionally name it after the album.
Right. Well, I mean, coincidentally, I was planning on starting a podcast called Thick as a Podcast, but that would have been totally coincidental too.
You dumbass.
Hey. Got to give you shit. I actually don't see you as often, even though we work together. I haven't seen you. We worked together the other day, but other than that, I really haven't seen you that much. So
yeah, I work kind of a goofy schedule.
Yeah,
I don't have kind of the normal schedule like the rest of my department does. But
you're one of only a handful that work that shift.
Well, that, and I don't work there's certain days of the week I can't work because of school and things like that. So. And plus, Ian works an extra day a week than I do, so
yep,
he doesn't get to work the fun 3 days a week shift.
No, and which I mean, it sounds stupid. I prefer working the 4 days just because I don't want to have to work 3 12s. I hate fucking 12-hour shifts, man.
12-hour shifts.
I mean, I'm doing 2 as it is.
Yeah,
I'm still 2 as it is, but I fucking hate them. I don't get any sleep,
bad.
Especially when they're back to back. I don't get any sleep.
You get used to it.
When I work 8 hours, I can at least get some fucking sleep, even if they're back to back.
So we're going to talk. So this is the first episode of the month, and we typically do our vinyl record episode. But because everything is kind of going on, we kind of have set aside that till after this whole pandemic is over and everyone's kind of back to normal. And but we're still gonna talk music. It's something we both still like, and it's a big part of my life. Music is, at least, but so
I probably will listen to more music than I watch movies and TV, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I probably do too. So we're going to talk about how the COVID pandemic has affected the record industry. But before we get into that, I do want to kind of talk a little bit about the protest this past week in Lansing, Michigan, against there's thousands. I don't know. Did you hear a number of how many people they estimated to be out there? I know it was quite a few. I don't know if it was thousands or what, but so they're protesting the stay-at-home orders put in place by the governor to basically to reduce COVID exposure rates in the state of Michigan, and they're basically protesting because they want everything open back up. They want to go back to work, which I understand. There's thousands, tens of thousands of people that in the state of Michigan that have had their whole lives turned upside down by this,
right?
And are in a position to possibly lose their home, everything, and
but I think they're going about it the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're kind of, but I think it's also kind of sheds a light on the inadequacies of our government. And
I think it really, if you really look at it, you don't even have to look too deep, but you really can see a white privilege at work too.
Oh yeah, that was the one thing there's one video that I don't even remember who it was. Somebody on Facebook posted the video. I don't remember if it was from an individual or if it's from a news source, but they posted this video. So the House was in session, and you got all these armed protesters in the Capitol building protesting, and they've got Michigan State Police lined up by the entrance going into the House chamber. And so you got all these angry protesters out there like yelling and trying to get past the police. And someone from off to the side in the video, you could hear them yell, "Blue Lives Matter." And then you got this guy down in the front yells back, "Blue lives don't matter," which I found really interesting. So is it only blue lives? Is it blue lives only matter when black people are trying to get equality?
Right. Yeah. Blue lives matter when it comes to how black people are arrested more than equality, just how they're arrested.
But here's the thing, though: if you had a group of black men storm the Capitol building with guns, it doesn't end peacefully.
No, you'd have the National Guard there. You'd have tear gas. You'd have riot gear, everything. Yeah. And that being said, I mean, look how many people were carrying automatic weapons. They were carrying machine guns.
I don't know if they're automatic weapons. They're more than because you have to have a permit.
They were
semi-automatic weapons. But.
Whatever. They look like machine guns to me. I don't know guns that well. I mean, they look like fucking machine guns to me. They look like military grade machine guns.
By the way, Canada just yesterday, I think, or the day before, just banned assault style weapons in their country. But
yeah.
But yeah, I know I'm kind of just taking the words of like one moron to make a point. I mean, I still think it's a valid point.
Right.
You're right.
Don't take my word for it, Nick.
What's that?
You said you're taking the word of one moron. I said, don't take my word for it.
Touche. Touche.
It's not funny if I have to explain it, but okay.
Ian's poor attempt at humor. Normally it's my poor attempt, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like the biggest display of white privilege that you can see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like I said, I think I understand and I empathize with a lot of people's issues with what's going on, but I think that it's misplaced anger. You're directing your anger towards an individual who is, for most accounts, doing the exact same thing that every other governor in the Midwest is doing to try to prevent this pandemic from getting even worse.
Right.
What your anger should be directed towards is the federal government, I guess, and to a certain extent the state, on a state level also, who for the past 40 years has pandered to multinational corporations and large corporations inside the United States and have basically screwed the citizens of this country and have, they've neglected to build a strong safety net to help these people out that need help during this kind of event.
Well, not only have they neglected to build a strong safety net, they've weakened the safety net that we already had.
Yeah.
In many ways. I mean, that's the Republican platform, is to eliminate basically anything that was ever put into effect through the New Deal or as a result of the New Deal.
Or anything they've been challenging that.
Right, they've been challenging that for 80 fucking years.
Yeah.
But see, here's the problem: the vast majority, and I'm granted, I'm generalizing, but based on the videos I've seen, the pictures I've seen, and I do have to take into account that I'm only seeing what people are showing me. There was a lot of MAGA hats. There were a lot of Trump 2020.
It was definitely a Trump rally.
So they're not going to challenge the federal government, because if they challenge the federal government, they have to acknowledge that it's their president, their guy who's at the heart of that problem. But it all comes down to the federal government, because he keeps trying to throw it all back on the states.
Yeah.
But the whole point of us having a federal government is to protect us from stuff like this.
Yes.
And he's not doing his fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he keeps throwing it down to the state level. And it doesn't make any sense.
He's openly encouraging these kind of these demonstrations.
Yeah. Oh, well, of course, because he's sorry.
I was like, you got really
spin on my camera. Yeah, I think I spin on my camera. Yeah, he's encouraging it. He's through his angry tweets. That's what everyone calls angry tweets. They're just tweets. They're him doing his thing. But he you know why he's doing it? Because if this had been a Republican governor, first of all, this wouldn't have happened. Take everything else to account.
We did say that a couple of weeks ago on the show, but there have been protests in Ohio.
Not like this though.
No, they're not like this. They're not at all like that. But there have been protests, but obviously not to this level. They're not hanging, dolls for Mike DeWine in Ohio.
Right. And to be fair, that's a small amount, but
of course,
I think their aggression is magnified because it's a Democrat.
Yeah, oh yeah. I've definitely noticed that on social media, the Gretchen Hitler is really caught on, and that's kind of the name. I'm even hearing people at work refer to her as that. So
Jesus Christ, I'm amazed considering
he doesn't have anything to do with that, but
considering where we work, I'm amazed at how conservative a lot of our coworkers are.
Well, half the states is like that. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but going back to the kind of the inadequacies of the government. I mean, I personally know people who, at least a couple people, that have filed for unemployment and they're still waiting to receive money. Now, granted, I don't know their situation. I don't know if there's been delays in the process, if they didn't correctly fill everything out or submit everything like they were supposed to. I don't know that side of it. I just know that they're still waiting to receive money.
Yeah, well, there's a backlog. I mean, that they've talked about that on the news a lot about the unemployment, because the unemployment, whoever handles the department, whoever handles that, just can't handle the load that keeps coming in, because it's hundreds of thousands more every week on top of what they're already processing, or tens of thousands more every week on top of whatever they're processing. So.
It's interesting though, because we have an example just to the north of us in Canada, where it's the complete opposite happening.
Right.
You've got a federal government that is providing for the basic needs of its citizens, who said that no one's going to lose their house, no one's going to go hungry during this pandemic. That the federal government's going to step in and help out where they need to.
Right. And that's not going to happen here.
No, it's not going to. And the funny thing is, like, as much as 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I thought Andrew Yang's universal basic income was his idea, or his plan was kind of like a political ploy to get his name out there. I think we're now at the point where it's actually gained quite a bit of traction, even on the Republican side of the aisle, to at least have that kind of conversation. And I think it's something that we should probably look more at going forward. Is some kind of basic income.
Yeah, and I mean, $1,000 a month is what Yang had proposed. I mean, that's not enough to live on, but it's enough to pad lower income for sure.
How about this?
You just have to tax it. It has to be taxed with income, though. Otherwise, it doesn't. Yeah. It only works. Helps the financial sector. It doesn't help the overall.
Yeah. Look at it this way, though: is if you provide some kind of basic income, you can probably end the food stamps program, SNAP, all those programs that we have in place. There's dozens of different programs in place to help the poor and needy, which you can probably replace all those programs with one program and probably do it for cheaper. Obviously do it for cheaper because you've got less overhead.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this. There was that, and it's still in there. No one's shut it down yet completely. They're still debating it, but the bill to send every American $2,000 a month for 6 months up to a year.
Yeah.
I've got mixed emotions about it because hell, it'll help. It doesn't hurt anybody to get $2,000. I just don't know if, first of all, the Republicans aren't going to go for it, or Mitch McConnell's not going to go for it.
Mitch McConnell won't, but
it doesn't matter. I mean, if there's enough people on his side who are going to vote for it, it doesn't matter what he says.
No, and the thing is, if Trump has kind of been on both sides of it, he's kind of come out in favor of it, and he's also kind of come out against it also. So I guess if you can get him on board, then McConnell's going to do it. But here's the thing: I was talking to somebody at work about this last night, and they're a what I would consider a kind of middle of the road Republican. They consider themselves a Republican. They're not a big fan of Trump, but they still vote for mainly Republicans. And we were talking about this $2,000 a month issue, and what the person was, their concern was, well, you're going to give this money out, but it's not really going to do anything. Yeah, it's going to help people right now. What's it going to do for the economy? And my response was,
spend it.
That's exactly it. That's because you're talking about people that, I'm in a higher tax bracket than a lot of other people, and I would get quite a bit of money a month. I necessarily, you're right. I don't need it. I probably don't need it. I don't. But what am I going to do with that money? I'm going to turn around and spend it. And I'm going to spend it in the economy. And I'm not the only person that's going to do that. There's thousands of people out there that are going to do the exact same thing. I know people that work that as soon as they got that $1,200, it was gone. And that's what you want. That's what you want in the economy. You want people to spend that money, because the issue with giving the top 10% a tax break is they tend to sit on that money. And that's what hurts the economy. You want people to be out there spending the money. That's why you said, yes. Does everyone need the money? Absolutely not. But the people that need the money, it's going to help them save their house. It's going to help them save their cars. It's going to help them be able to feed their family. The people that don't necessarily need it are going to spend it also, for the most part.
Yeah,
and that's really going to build the economy back up, which is what we need.
Yeah, trickle down economics has been used. It's been utilized. Myth. It's a myth. It doesn't work. But every model shows trickle up economics works, because when it's been put into place, it fucking works.
It does.
So why not just do that? It fucking works. So I don't know why they fight it so much, because they just want more money. Is it just greed? Is that all it is?
I don't know, but I think the Democrats need to do a better job at constructing the argument in a way that can help Republicans get on board with it.
Right.
Like I said earlier, if you're able to talk about, like, same with universal basic income, if you're able to say, look, we could do this and then get rid of all these other programs that they fucking hate.
Right.
Why
the problem is, in their mind, they'll probably see it as exactly the same thing.
But if they're able to sell, you've got to give Republicans to get on board. I'm not talking about Republicans in our country. I'm talking about Republicans in Washington. You've got to give them something that they could turn around and sell back to their constituents as helping the country.
Right.
But still staying with their values and getting rid of waste and bureaucracy. Right. If they can say, look, we're going to streamline all these, 6 or 8 different programs, whatever it is, into one program and do it for less. And I think
for everybody, and help everybody. Yeah.
And I think that's something that they could sell back to their voters and help them. And you could get them on board with something like that. But
the real problem is they have to sell it to their donors more than they have to sell it to their.
No, the real problem is you get people like AOC that want to go out there and bump their gums and stir up shit, and then nothing gets done.
Right. Because then it's just a matter of I can't do this because
she said so.
Doing. Yep. Yeah.
She's in favor of it, so I've got to be against it.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, is going to happen even if she wasn't a blowhard, because she is. She's a fucking blowhard.
She is.
I don't like her. I didn't like her to begin with. I mean, I like the idea of having diversity in our government, but she's too much. She's too fucking much.
She needs to understand that sometimes, and I'm not going to say this just because she's a woman, because Nancy Pelosi's a woman, but sometimes
I don't like her either, though.
Sometimes she needs to know when to kind of keep her mouth shut and sink to the back and let the leadership in the Democratic House step forward and kind of settle an argument.
Right.
Without her intervening.
Right. Well, just know her place in the hierarchy of where she's.
See, that was the phrase I was trying to stay away from.
Know her place. Well, no, in the hierarchy, she's a junior senator.
Oh yeah.
So junior senator or congressman.
She's not senator. Yeah.
Whatever. She's a junior congressperson.
Congresswoman. What is it? Whatever it is now.
Yeah. Representative. How's that?
Yeah.
She's a junior representative. So it has more to do with her not knowing her place as a woman. Knowing her place is where she's at in the hierarchy of the government. Yeah.
Well, she doesn't see herself there. That's part of the problem.
Right. And to be fair, I don't think she was voted in to do that. But the problem is that's how it works. She can be vocal. She can express her views. She can vote her conscience. She can, talk to her constituents the way that she's talking online. But she needs to hold it back as far as
because
her position, because she's going to lose it. Just go
Well,
fucking lose it.
the problem is that some of the things she's been out saying have come back to backfire and hurt the Democratic Party
Right.
as far as what because they're in constant negotiation with the Republicans in the House, in the Senate, and in the White House as far as trying to put a package together. And when you've got somebody coming out there and saying things that are hurting those negotiations, that's a problem.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it would be like trying to negotiate the end of a war, but you got some, captain and some shooting, breaking ceasefires and shit. It just doesn't. It's counterproductive to the whole.
Yeah. It's
process.
almost like having a war going on and having the president go out there and negotiate an end to that war, and then have Richard Nixon come in the back door and make an agreement with South Vietnam to not end the war and extend Vietnam. Oh, did I go to a different direction? I'm sorry.
No, that story sounds familiar.
That sounds
Was there a
oddly
movie
familiar.
about that? I think there was a movie like that.
No, was there? What movie was that?
I'm being facetious. It really happened.
Like, yeah, really.
I was like, because it happened again. I mean, not a war, but it happened with
Reagan and the
Reagan,
hostages.
so,
Yeah, I know. It was the exact same thing.
So basically, we need to tell AOC to stop being Republican when it comes to sabotaging negotiations.
Yeah, it's I think, I don't know, and like the whole universal basic income thing. I know we've talked about in the show about it before, and it's kind of strange that you've got Canada that's been doing it for years,
Mm-hmm.
And it's strange that you're not seeing that talked about in this country. It's strange that Andrew Yang didn't talk about it either when he was running for president.
What?
Which I
basic income?
No, not basic income, but the Canada is another. I mean, maybe he did talk about it. I just never heard it, but it's because it's something.
I remember him saying something about other countries and adopting some of their policies, but I don't remember mentioning Canada specifically.
Because I think Canada is a perfect. I mean, they're in such close proximity to the U.S. I don't know. It's just something you think of you talked about a little more often.
The big problem is that there's a percentage of this country who, the second you even start mentioning other countries, their heckles go up and their blinders come on.
You're right. When you start talking about Sweden and Germany and those other European countries
with socialist leanings.
Yes, but when you say Canada, most people are like, oh yeah, it's kind of part of the U.S.
Except for that, though. I mean, when Canada's been mentioned about when it comes to basic universal health care, again, blinders come up, heckles go up. It shuts them down because they think, oh well, that's there's death camps and or death
squads.
Yeah. Oh, well,
no, it's death panels.
Death panels. Yeah.
That was a Sarah Palin thing, though.
Fuck. If only. I mean, isn't it bad? Is it bad that I long for those days of Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann?
Yeah, I know.
Nobody took them fucking seriously.
I know. Hey, I'd go back and vote for Mitt Romney right now. I mean, it's like, not what? No, I mean, I wish Mitt Romney was president. Is what I'm saying.
Well, opposed to Orange Man.
No, yeah.
The
orangutan.
I don't. I don't know. If it's between Trump and Mitt Romney, I'm going to throw my vote at Mitt Romney. But
it's funny that Mitt Romney's like the sanity in the Republican Party for the most part.
Well, on some things,
of course. Well, because he's still Republican. I mean,
right? He's still not a very good person either.
I don't know about that. I don't know the guy. I can't really. But anyway, you want to get to our topic?
Based on his outward personal views and things he said, I don't consider him a man of high character. So,
well,
however, let's get to our show.
The exact same way, but let's talk about the show. So, we're both avid record collectors. I mean, I don't know. I had a record collection for a long time, and then I know we've talked about it before. I moved out. Then my parents moved, and they threw all my records away. And then this dingle Fritz on the screen next to me, he got me back into it a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten to the point now where I mean, Record Store Day is something that I've looked forward to since last year. It was it's an interesting event, and it's created to really boost small independent record stores.
Yep. And awareness of physical media too.
Yeah.
Really, I mean that it's because, well, I mean, which is cyclical. It helps both. If you're buying physical media, you're helping small business, and vice versa.
So when I was thinking about topics, I was like, well, with all this COVID stuff going on, how has this affected not only the record industry, but mainly the record industry, but also artists in general? And and I think obviously the biggest effect is really on these small record stores, because especially with Record Store Day, which was supposed to be April 18th,
Right.
the Record Store Day is something that all of these record stores, it really boosts their profits for the entire year. They really rely on Record Store Day because of the amount of sales that it brings in. And obviously it's something that's been, like I said, it's been pushed back to originally it was pushed back to June 20th, and they just announced that it's actually be broken up over one day in August, one day in September, one day in October. And I guess it makes sense because the biggest issue right now is the kind of the broken supply chain with getting records, because the pressing plants were initially shut down there for a period of time. A lot of them are back up and running, but they're running at 50 to 75% capacity, and now they're trying to get through the backlog that they've got sitting out there.
Which they were already backlogged to begin with. There was already a delay.
They've been backlogged for 2 years.
Right. So now throw in, 1 week might as well add another year of backlog just for 1 week. So,
but with these record stores though, the vinyl revival that's gone on over the last 8 to 10 years, a lot of these stores have brought in extra inventory. They carry more stock now because of the sales that are made. They've expanded retail space. I know the Dearborn Music, they've doubled their retail size.
Right. They did that about 5 years ago. They what is now their record section, which is
half the store.
Well, it is. Honestly, you're right.
It
about
is.
half the store. That was a whole nother storefront.
Yeah.
When I started going back, because they'd moved. When I first started going back to Dearborn Music in 2013, that wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was just that was a wall. And all the records are mixed in the back in like maybe 5 or 6 sections. And they picked up a whole half of a storefront and added to their basically made that their entire record section, which is huge. I mean, for considering, back in the early 2000s, the idea of even record stores I know of that I would go to, I mean, they were just selling CDs, but there were CD stores. They were dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Media Play, Circuit City, even though both of those, it's the physical media thing, but music was the first to be hit by all that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden like I said, 2014, 2015, you've got a music store, a record store that's expanding.
And now a lot of them are doing that now too.
Exactly.
A lot of them have. But the big problem is, so now you've got this loss of revenue because now they're primarily relying on mail order and curbside pickup. Yeah. So a lot of these have, I mean, their future is definitely uncertain. Dearborn Music's going to be fine, but a lot of these smaller ones, I mean, a lot of them are permanently going to close because of all this.
I'm sure several of them already have.
Maybe not permanently. I know some of them have definitely closed. UHF is closed.
Okay.
But the UHF, and they're in Royal Oak, Michigan. They'll be fine also because they're one of the bigger. I mean, size-wise, they're not a really big record store, but they're definitely popularity. They're a pretty popular place.
What about Flipside? Is Flipside still running?
They are,
mail order probably.
Yeah, so they're a lot of them are doing mail order. Some of them are doing curbside. I will say, to encourage everyone that's listening, if you're a vinyl collector, go out and support your local record shops. Like I
Absolutely.
said, many of them are doing free shipping online. I know my favorite record store, Dearborn Music. You can find them at dearbornmusic.net. And they're in Dearborn, Michigan. Flipside, which is in Clawson, Michigan. You can find them at shopflipsiderecords.com. Culture Clash Records in Toledo, Ohio. You can find them on it's cultureclashrecords.com. There's Encore Records in Ann Arbor, which is encorerecordsa2.com. And then Underground Sounds in Ann Arbor is also there's another place you can go. They're ugsounds.com. So go to their websites.
Because we're fairly new to the YouTube thing. Do you know how to post the links to those in our description?
Yeah, I'll put them in I can put them in the description for sure. So
yeah,
go down below, and you can find the links to the places. Yeah. If you're listening to this on Apple Music or whatever, you're like, what the fuck are these guys doing? But
well, if you're, we can put the links.
I will put all the links in the proper show notes. But yeah, definitely. And look, if you're in California, Florida, wherever you are, support your local record stores. I know that I was going to talk about it a little bit later, but I guess I mentioned it now. Amazon, who is one of the bigger record distributors in the United States, came out just recently, within the last couple of days, I think, and said that they are no longer shipping CDs or vinyl records for the foreseeable future because everything's going on.
Yeah, just to maintain
because of the shipping delays and everything.
Right.
I mean, I've got a record that's been sitting in Louisville, Kentucky for almost 2 weeks because shipping delays. Yeah. I mean, I've been in constant conversation with the post office, and it's like they're like, "Hey, I'm sorry about the delay, but I mean, there's nothing we can do until we're able to get things moved around a little more." So
right.
So they're having the same issues. But yes, they're not shipping anything. So yeah, go out and support your local stores for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's true of anything, really. I mean, but records, their popularity is strong, but it's an industry that ebbs and flows anyway, and it's there was a period of time where there were no record stores. Mm-hmm. There was like maybe one or two that managed to survive the original purge of the early 2000s, but as a rule, there weren't many, and now they're stronger. They're popping up. Let's maintain this. If you want to support that kind of thing, you want to try and maintain this.
Yeah. What the funny thing is, talking about mentioning the vinyl revival and everything else, who just popped up again is back in business and selling vinyl records?
Who's that?
Tower Records.
No shit.
Yeah, you can go on Tower Records website. They've got a bunch of like exclusive colored vinyl and stuff you can buy, and which they are not a small independent record store. But hey, you can still support them too, I guess. But.
Yeah, well, it's cyclical. It helps everything. But but as an example, they're a big chain. They're a big, huge conglomerate, and I
don't know about now, but
but back in the day, and they all their stores closed as a result of physical media kind of going away. So it's an example that this is an industry where it doesn't matter how big or small you are. If people aren't buying it, it's going to go away.
Exactly. It always has the potential of going away.
Absolutely. So I don't know, but I was going to ask you about the splitting up of the record store day for us. Is it going to be different releases released on each of those days, or that just
so June 1st they're going to release the list of what releases are going to be available on each day.
Okay.
So they're basically going to take that list and they're going to split it into thirds, and then that's what's going to be coming out on those days.
Okay.
So hopefully all the shit I want is on one day.
Right. Well, luckily for me, there's only one that I really am dying to get. Yeah. There's others I can pick up, but the only reason I'm going is to get that one album. If I get other stuff, it's fine, but that's the one I want. So,
there's about 8 that I want, so we'll see.
I'd say the likelihood of all of them being released on the same day is very slim.
Very slim. That's all right.
I know one of the 8 that you want is the one that I want too. So
So actually, I think it was 12 I wanted. Oh
That's
no!
even worse.
Every time I look at the list, I'm like, I could get that too. I was
Right.
looking at a couple of nights ago because I made a list of all the stuff that I'd like to pick up, and I was like, well, maybe I'll look on here and see, like, maybe I don't really want to get that. And I was like looking, and I was like, no, I kind of want to get all of it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
I'm sure there's
I'll,
things I'll
I'll,
pick up if I see
I'll
it.
try my damnedest. Last year I was lucky; I had to go to, a couple of different places, but I got everything I wanted last year. So
I did too, but I didn't want anywhere near what you wanted. So
yeah. But
what did I get? I
another,
think I got like 5 last year.
did you?
4 or 5, yeah. Which I mean, for me, is not a
Yeah.
lot. It's not a lot, but it was a lot at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. There was a couple of things I picked up last year that I didn't walk into the store wanting to get. It was one of those things where I was walking through and it's like, shit, I might as well just grab it anyway.
Right.
Because there's a couple of things I bought last year on Record Store Day that a year later I haven't listened to yet. So
Yeah.
I guess that's what happens when you have a whole lot of records.
Well, I was telling you there was, they weren't Record Store Day exclusives, but the remasters of some of the Jethro Tull.
I'm looking over my record collection, by the way, while I'm talking about. People are probably like, what the fuck is he looking at?
Mine's in another room, but I went and was listening to some of my Jethro Tull records recently, and there were a few of them that were still wrapped in cellophane. I hadn't even opened them yet.
Oh, geez.
And this is my favorite band, but it's just something that when I'm listening to vinyl, I don't really go into listening to vinyl with an idea. I want to listen to this one record. I go in and just kind of look through the collection, see what catches my eye. Sometimes I'll grab an album, put it on. I'm like, I didn't really want to listen to that, but I'll listen to it all the way through, and then go back to something else. I try. Yeah. It's more of a. I don't know if I want to say it's like a surprise or whatever, but it's just because I'm obviously picking it. But it's nice to not really go in with a plan. Just listen to music for the joy of listening to music,
So this is kind of what I've been doing lately. You don't have all your stuff on Discogs yet, do you?
No, I started messing around with my list, and I think I screwed it up, so I have to redo it all.
I'll show you people watching on YouTube. I don't know if you can see this or not, but if you bring up Discogs,
very bright. That's a little bit better. Okay.
If you bring up Discogs and shake it, it gives you a random record out of your collection. That's what I've been doing lately.
Interesting.
So I'll shake it and I'll be like,
that's a good one. That's a good one to listen to.
Yeah, because Blunderbuss just popped up. So sometimes, a lot of times if I don't have something that I want to listen to in particular, I'll just shake my phone. It's like, look at that. Counting Crows popped up. Let's listen to that.
Yeah, see that honestly, that's obviously I'm not that random, but it's that's kind of how I go with it. I don't really, like I said, when I listen, I just kind of grab it and then throw it on and see what happens.
My problem is, I've got over 500 records, so it's like I'll stand there for 40 minutes if I have to. Like, what do I want to listen to? Well,
and believe me, I've done not 40 minutes, but 10, 15 minutes
through
at least.
Things, and that's why finally I was like, I'm just gonna shake my phone. See what's up.
Shake your phone.
Throw around spare change.
Skeet, motherfucker.
That's a masturbation joke if you don't caught that. You all right there, Ian?
Yeah, I choked on my coffee. I'm sorry.
You choked on something. But God, I don't remember where the hell I was going now.
Shaking your phone to pick something out.
Oh yeah. But there's other aspects of this that's kind of affected musicians in other ways too. And I think the biggest one for them is this, multi-billion-dollar concert industry apparatus that dried up in 2 days. I mean,
right.
All the biggest concert promoters within like 48 hours canceled all their tours for basically the entire year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's still some open. I mean, we're scheduled to go to one in August that has not canceled yet.
I'm not holding my breath.
I'm not either. But and quite honestly, that I'm going to put that money right back into the musical system, because if we get our money refunded,
they won't refund it because it's not going to be canceled.
Concert.
They'll postpone it till next year. Because I was supposed to see Roger Waters in July, and he postponed his tour until next year. So I think I could have had an option just to refund my money, but I'm like, fuck it, I'll just hold on to the ticket
and hope he doesn't die before then.
Well, if he dies, then I can get my money refunded to me.
Yeah.
Because then the concert's canceled.
Right. Not just postponed.
Unless they're like, here's
Prop him up on the stage.
here's his corpse. There you go. Put a microphone in front of him. Let's see if anything comes out.
There's a few artists that might improve. To think of, not Roger Waters, but there's a few other. I think a dead version would be better.
But a lot of the artists, they really heavily rely on concerts, not only for ticket sales because they get a lot of the money from that, but also for merchandise because they really make very little to nothing off of streaming. A very few artists in the world make really anything off of streaming. You've got to have millions and millions of streams to really make anything.
I mean, it's still an income, but it's pennies.
It's
literally
minuscule.
Pennies. Yeah,
it's fractions of pennies per play.
Right, but added up over the course of a month, an artist might make $10. I mean, we're not talking millions. I know that's what I'm saying. It's pennies. It's pennies.
Yeah, that's why they rely so heavily on concerts. That's why the prices of concerts have really skyrocketed over the last couple of years because they've realized, hey, with this we can go back to making the money we were making in the 90s and early 2000s. We just have to triple the price of the concert.
But that has more to do with the record companies because really for the last 20, 25 years, artists have only been making money on concerts. Now the record companies are trying to get in on that action.
They're getting a cut of it also.
That's what's kicking the cost of concerts up. It's not the artists. The artists have always relied heavily on their live performance income. Now the record companies are trying to do the same thing. That's what's really kicked the price up.
But and also you've got some artists that are delaying releasing any new music right now also. And I think it's mainly just kind of fear of reduced record sales.
Steve, the only one that I was looking forward to that I know has been delayed so far is Steve Wilson's solo album that was coming out. It was supposed to come out, I think, in June. He backed it up to January.
Oh, wow.
Kicked it all the way to January.
And I know you could look at it and say, look, releasing music in the digital age is probably a relatively easy process. But really, pushing music out to these services is really just a small piece of a larger process.
Right.
And it's everything else that goes along with it. Also sales of physical media. You dying of the Rona over there, Ian?
No, I just had to cough. It's a normal human reaction when you have a tickle in your throat.
I think in 2020, whenever anyone coughs now around you, automatically you're like, "What was that? Someone's gonna kill us all."
It's worse than a gunshot. You're a gunshot, and everyone's like,
what?
Shooting something. But someone coughs, they're like, "Oh my God, what feels?"
But yeah, I think once they realize that there's a physical media market still alive out there with CDs and vinyl, I think that's become a bigger piece of the marketing for a particular album. And now, because of the delays in shipping and delays in manufacturing, I think that also is playing a role in why they're kind of pushing off these delays, why they're delaying the releases of albums.
I'm sure of it because I would assume at least on the corporate side of things, because the artists are still getting pennies for their records. They always have though.
Yeah.
Physical media sales. But I think the record companies are really going to, I mean, they've seen a surge in income, I'm sure, and in profitability as a result of the vinyl resurgence. So I think it has, and I've noticed this with certain artists. There's a lot of artists that on the day of release, it comes out CD, vinyl, and streaming. But there's some artists that will release it on vinyl and then a week later release it streaming.
Yeah.
Which to me is actually a good business model because it gives everyone an opportunity. If they're going to go buy it, they really want it, they're going to go buy it. But if it's streaming the same day, sometimes they may go, "Oh, I'm not going to buy it today because I can just listen to it now."
I can just listen to it now, yeah.
Right, and to be honest, I'm guilty of that. I still have not purchased the new Pearl Jam album, which I'm going to buy it.
Gigaton,
I really want it, but I haven't bought it yet because I've already been able to listen to it on streaming. If I didn't have, if I couldn't have done that on release day, I probably would have gone up more out of my way and gone and bought it.
Yeah, I will say that if you're listening to this and you do want to buy Gigaton, dearbornmusic.net has free shipping, so there's no reason for you to not buy it and have them send it to your house. Free, it's
Right.
free domestic shipping.
Yeah, and I just haven't gotten around to it, but I miss going. I miss going to
I
the
know.
store and looking at shit.
Look,
And
I've gone to Walmart twice in the past, I don't know, 3 weeks, and each time I go, even though they've got a bunch of shit that I would never
you
buy,
still look through it.
I
Yeah,
still flip through the records just because I miss
I
flipping through
know.
records.
I know. I know. I just miss being in there and smelling the used records and
Yeah,
looking at shit I didn't know existed, seeing what the new releases are. Because I know up until all this, I wouldn't go to, because I go to the Dearborn Music website. We go on Saturday nights on the Facebook page because they'll release a video of what they're putting out that's new used.
which they've done
But
that like twice this week.
yeah, I know, I noticed that, but I haven't done that with just new releases. But I've been doing
Yeah.
it with new releases because I can't go to the store to look and see what's new released.
Yeah.
I used to like going just to see what's new that I didn't know was coming out.
Yep.
And I miss that. I miss it all.
And normally you can listen to our first episode of the month, and we kind of go over a lot of the new stuff coming out.
Right.
We haven't been doing that either. So,
but even that, I mean, there's stuff that, I mean, you kind of you trim the list. You
I
cultivate
curate the list. So
yeah, to fit more of kind of what it's kind of general, but also more in tune with kind of stuff that we think we're going to buy. But there's sometimes you go there and you see stuff, you're like, well, shit, I didn't know. For me, I like Iron Maiden's going to put out a new album. I wouldn't have known that. They didn't, but I'm just as an example. You probably wouldn't have mentioned it. You might have, but you might not have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go and say, oh shit, there's a new Iron Maiden album out. You know,
because there's sometimes I've made those lists and there's a whole bunch of shit coming out for the month, and I really don't want to spend a half an hour talking about records coming out. So I kind of trim the list down and cut out some stuff that maybe I would be interested in getting. But,
right. Well, and
or other people might be interested in getting.
Right. And there's a lot of bands that we listen to, you and I both. Not necessarily the same bands, but there's a lot of bands who do side projects that you might not know about. They could be a band that you're just like, I never heard of them, but you didn't know it was like, for the longest time, I didn't know Audio Slave had Chris Cornell in the band and Dave Navarro, and I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, who the fuck's Audio Slave? And I'm like, oh shit, I need to listen to Audio Slave.
Yeah, exactly.
Angels and Airwaves would be another example of something you might miss if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was a former member of Blink in the band, starting the band.
Or Boxcar Racer is another one.
Yeah. Foxborough Hot Tubs, which really is just Green Day, but
under a different name.
Under a different name. But still, ultimately, you wouldn't know that unless you go and looked at the record.
There's a lot of those. I feel like that's something that's happened less and less over the past 10 years. Because it seemed like before then, like through the 90s, early 2000s, it seemed like everyone, like all the major bands had some kind of side project they did because they weren't releasing music or going on tour every year with their primary band. There'd be a couple of year hiatus in between tours or whatever. So they'd work on their main band. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone there.
I've done it a couple times too.
Work on their main project, and they'd also have like a side project they're working on. And a lot of the fans of those bands maybe necessarily wouldn't know about those side projects.
Right.
But I don't really think that kind of stuff really, the guys from Panic at the Disco aren't doing a side project,
No,
something like that.
But you never know. Like I said, there's times where you go to the record store and something catches your eye and you pick it up and you're like, oh shit, that's them, or that's that person. And you don't get that if you can't go and just look around.
Yeah. I will say real quick that I saw something interesting in the last couple of days that said that for the month of March, streaming was actually down 7.6%, which is interesting. Which is
very strange. Yeah,
it is, because you figure people are at home. So maybe
is that music streaming or just overall streaming?
Music streaming.
Well, I guess honestly, it does kind of make sense because people are going to be streaming music more when they're out and about rather than when they're at home. When they're at home, they're going to stream movies because it's got to be something that appeals to the whole family rather than just individual.
Yeah.
And you're driving in your car or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So. And they said that physical media sales are actually down 6% also. And they're actually expecting that to go a lot lower because of the issues with shipping vinyl and CDs.
Right. Well, and those of us who do buy used records, as a result of the quarantine, even beyond that, there's going to be a lot of stores that aren't going to be buying used records from the public.
No.
So there's going to be a shortage of stuff coming in that rare gems that are used but in good condition that we're just not going to be able to have, which theoretically could keep people home
Yeah.
rather than going to the store, because they're going to go, well, I saw everything they got already. There's nothing new.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
It's definitely been a big adjustment for, I think, the record industry
Yeah. Well, everybody in
in
general.
overall. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously overall, but I think it's a lot of people when they talk about the impact on the small businesses. I think the record stores are something I think that a lot of people, it's not in their
Right.
conscience.
Well, it's not. And I think, a small mom and pop grocery store might have a better chance of recovering than a small mom and pop record store.
Yeah.
Just because it's a, like I was saying, it's a knife edge type of industry anyway.
Yeah.
So
No, the one interesting thing I can say, and the artists are trying to find different ways to make money. And a lot of the more popular artists have gone to, instead of releasing new music, they're actually doing these live streams. And you can go to a lot of major artists out there, go on their social media accounts, and a lot of them, like I said, are doing these weekly live events just to kind of bring people in.
Right.
And
Keep their name.
stay relevant.
Yeah, stay relevant. And I noticed a few of them are doing like contests and stuff for like, Alice Cooper. He wrote and recorded a new song, and he's inviting people to videotape themselves to make a lyric video, holding the lyrics
Oh,
and
really?
costume and everything. And I think it might even be raising money for something. But it's supposed to release on May 15th.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
new song. It's called "Don't Give Up." I'm excited about that. Just anytime I can get a new Alice Cooper song is awesome. And but yeah, there's a lot of artists. Ian Anderson and Leslie Mandoki. They've worked together. Leslie Mandoki is a German producer and musician.
Yeah.
They released a song called "Thank You," just "Thank You," and it's thanking the people, and they released that. Like you said, it's just a lot of even artists that are lesser known, we'll say,
Yeah.
are out there doing, even if it's just for charity or just like you said, just be out
stay
there,
relevant. Yeah.
stay relevant. I think that was a charity thing too, to raise money. So.
I'm interested to see how this kind of goes over like the next decade. And I'm thinking that there's a possibility that one of the positives that kind of come out of this whole pandemic is sales of musical instruments have skyrocketed over the last 4 to 6 weeks, and it's primarily like acoustic guitars. Hey, I bought 2 guitars in the past week, so I mean I kind of have to include myself in that category. But
I have one that my dad had given me about 6 months ago, 7 months ago. That's been in its case, and I broke it out. I pulled it out. And,
yeah. But the article I was reading that was talking about this said that a lot of the people that are buying musical instruments are what they consider musical beginners.
Right.
So I'm kind of hoping over the next couple of years that we start seeing bands kind of come out that were formed over this time, this period of time of people that are like just a group of kids that were tired of playing Xbox all day long, so they started a band and create this this music revival or something.
Right, the next Nirvana or the next Led Zeppelin or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And
musical renaissance.
But I was also thinking in along those same lines, as a result of these artists now not being able to go out and perform, they're kind of stuck at home. There could be a blossoming of just new good stuff from older artists.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
There's no shortage of things to draw inspiration from, but they're stuck at home and have nothing else to do. They can say, sit down and record something in their home studio, or they're writing stuff. And sometimes if they weren't planning on writing any albums this year, but now they have nothing else to do, so they might put out
they've got the time to do it.
They've got the time to do it. It won't be rushed, and who knows. I agree with you. I think in some level, but that's not even music, but the whole art industry, the whole entertainment industry could benefit a little bit from this, just a little bit. And that's kind of giving, because we've been forced to be isolated and shut down, everyone's been able to like stop and just kind of take a step back and maybe reevaluate things they're doing, improve some of the things they've already done that haven't been released yet, give them time to really look at stuff. So I mean, if there is a bright side to this, and there really isn't many, this might be a little glimmer of a bright side.
But you're already seeing there's already been a boom in independent artists releasing music through sites like SoundCloud and SoundDrop, or two of them you can kind of go on, and because anyone can record anything and post it to those sites. So you're definitely seeing an increase already in those kind of independent musicians that found a way to get their music out there. Because like I said, they're just sitting at home not doing anything. They're bored in the house bored. Yeah. So if you want to reference TikTok.
Well, yeah. Well, TikTok's the devil. TikTok is the devil.
Haven't you seen any of those bored in the house and I'm in the house bored videos?
I think 90% of the videos on there are that. Even if they're not saying it, that's what they are.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
I just recently, for the audience, downloaded TikTok. Now, this was after weeks and weeks of me saying, I'm not going to do this. I don't have any interest in this. But finally, I'm stuck with this guy at work in one of our workstations for 4 hours, and it happened to be a slow night, and he's on his phone.
Well, first off, Ian. Well, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, and all I hear is him cracking up, laughing next to me, and I'm like, "What are you looking at?"
This is
and
after
he starts showing me.
This is after Ian told me that there's nothing funny on TikTok. So I'm
this is before. This was before.
Was it?
Because I wasn't on TikTok yet. So anyway, so I'm watching. I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it, I will download this. And I download it, and because I'm new to it, it doesn't have has an algorithm to me into its system. Yeah. It's not really just showing me random stuff. I'm like, man, none of this is as funny as what Nick was showing me.
Ian's like, all they're showing me is animal videos. I'm like, well, you gotta watch it for a while. So you got to kind of go through and like some different videos to kind of figure out what you like. And then this goofy bastard texted me a couple nights ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I spent 3 hours on TikTok."
Yeah, it's the fucking devil.
It's real easy to do, man.
It is the time eater.
It's there's been a couple times I'll go to bed at night, and Mandy and I'll just pass TikTok videos back and forth to each other for like an hour.
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard. There was that night, actually, because I work nights. I work midnight. So when I'm not at work and I kind of have to shift back to a day schedule, my sleep's weird. So I'll sleep for a couple hours and I'll be up for a couple hours. Well, I got up to take a piss, came back to my bed, and I grabbed my phone and I went to TikTok and I'm scrolling through. And that was the night where it was 3 hours. Spent 3 hours on the damn thing. But that happens all the time. I mean, before it would be, I could scroll through Facebook, but it would never be 3 hours. It would be 15, 20 minutes. I'd be like, oh, okay, Instagram, okay, 15, 20 minutes. Maybe watch a few YouTube videos, and I go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But no, TikTok, I'm on there fucking scrolling for 3 fucking hours. My phone was charged when I started. It was 5% when I turned it off.
That's hilarious.
And I probably wouldn't have turned it off if my phone hadn't started screaming at me that the battery was almost dead.
Yeah, Facebook is one of those things where, I mean, I don't use it as much anymore as I used to. And it's one of those things where you kind of scroll through and I kind of read, what's going on or whatever. And then I get sucked into some comment section on some ridiculous fucking post.
I was going to ask you about that because there's one that's music related, I think, right?
Oh yeah, I was going to mention it, but I actually forgot all about it. So I've been a big Blink-182 fan for. Dude Ranch came out in '97, so it was like right around that time is when I kind of got into them, and ever since then they've been one of my favorite bands. And so I'm part of this really big fan group page on Facebook, and one of the founding members of Blink-182 left the band after the album came out in 2003, came back, made an album in 2011, and then left the band again. After the album in 2011, they replaced him with Matt Skiba, who was the lead singer of Alkaline Trio. So there's been this like big hatred in the Blink-182 community about Matt Skiba and their last 2 albums that he was on. So the California and then 9, which just came out last year. And so I had made a comment on this page about how I felt that 9 was one of Blink-182's best albums. So I think I said it was like third or fourth.
Okay.
And I got it
I
turned
liked it for the
into
record too.
yeah, it turned into a solid 2-hour back and forth argument between me and like 5 people on this fucking page. And it kind of brought me back to a couple episodes ago when we were talking about toxic fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's toxic fandom in a different angle, because it's like these people have this great love and respect and admiration for old Blink-182, which I understand. They had some good music, but the band grew up, evolved, had different kind of music, got away from more of the kind of sophomore humor that their first couple albums had, and became kind of a different band. Evolved,
which
broke up.
All
they
good
broke
bands
up.
should do. All good bands should do that.
And a lot of bands over the years, especially bands that have been around for 20 plus years, they lose members. It happens. And you kind of have to roll with it and kind of see it as what it is. It's just a different form of that same band that you've loved for 20 years. And I just, it got to the point where people were telling me, well, you don't know jack shit about music. And I'm like, look, buddy, I'm looking at your profile picture. It looks like you're 22 years old. I probably have forgotten more about music than you've ever fucking known in your goddamn life.
Yeah.
So don't get in a damn musical argument with me, jackass.
At the very least, your exposure to music is already 20 years more advanced than theirs, whether you know anything about music or not.
Those were the kind of comments. Like there was one guy, he's like, oh, well, 9 sounds like something my 12-year-old nephew or my 12-year-old niece would listen to.
Right.
And I'm like, so I messaged him back and I'm like, well, that's a nonsensical argument, first off, because Nevermind came out when I was 12 and I was listening to that. The age you are has nothing to do with the quality of music you listen to. Nevermind is one of the, I guess not arguably, is unanimously one of the best
great rock albums of all time
of the last 30 years for sure.
It's on every top 100 list, every one of them.
And so you can't tell me, oh, well, it sounds like something my 12-year-old niece would listen to, because hey, that could, whatever.
Your 12-year-old niece might have taste.
She might have some good taste. Yeah, I know, but it was just one of those things that really fucking irritated the shit out of me. And it's like, and that's kind of what I try to stay away from on Facebook. I see so much shit on there that multiple times a day I'm like, I should really correct this person. Knowing that it's just my opinion, and I don't really need to put it out there. So I end up like just closing the app. And that's when I found, I guess probably a year or two back is kind of when I stumbled into Instagram. And that's probably what drove me to a site like that. Because look, I can flip through pictures of records for hours on end, which basically what all my Instagram feed is. But and now it's the same thing with TikTok. Is like you can go on there and just kind of, it's a form of entertainment. You're just kind of enjoying what's going on, and you're not inundated with a bunch of hatred and bullshit and political garbage that you don't want to listen to.
It's there, but you're scrolling through, and it's not specifically or necessarily anybody that you know too. So you can just, fuck it. I don't know this fucking person. They can have their own views and just keep going.
Yeah.
And there's, a million other things that are there. For the most part, I think it's just people having fun. I think that's what it is. Why it's kind of grabbed me. It's just mainly younger people.
So not Ian, the old bastard.
Not you either, my friend.
Hey man, I can still TikTok.
I'm TikToking, but we'll see if you make a TikTok video. If you do that, then we'll see. But I won't. But then it's just fun. It's just people having fun.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And I think, and that's it. I don't know what it was like before the quarantine, but I can tell you at the very least, there's a lot of quarantine videos that are fucking funny as shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't know. I'm just, it's sad because I don't need something to eat up my time like that. It's just mindless.
3 hours of your time.
But it's something that now I can go to like on my breaks at work and not have to worry about, because there were a lot of times I go on break and I'd scroll through Facebook or whatever, and I'd be like, "Fuck, I'm pissed off now."
Yeah, exactly.
And now I can just laugh for a few times. It's actually like actually harder to leave my breaks because it's like I don't want to
Yeah.
turn it off.
but that's the other thing. Like I've been at work before, and it's like there's been a couple of times where I kind of ran out of time on a Sunday night, and I didn't have time to post any of the social media stuff for the podcast. So I'll do it at work. I've done it at work before, and it's like I don't want to pull up my Facebook feed and have like somebody walking up behind me and like see something on my Facebook page and then get all offended about something, and then that turn into a fucking conversation. With TikTok, you ain't got to worry about that because there's none of that garbage on there. It's just people being goofy.
Right. Well, it's not really a lot of it's not really work appropriate as far as language goes.
Yeah, that's true. I always have to make sure my finger's over the volume button so I can turn it down real quick.
Yeah, but to be completely honest, there's a lot of things Nick says that are probably not work appropriate at work.
Very true.
It's one of those weird. It's like a mystery. It's every time you work with Nick at work, you're interacting with Nick at work. For me, at least 2 or 3 times in a conversation, my mind will go, "How has he not been called into HR yet?
How is he still employed?
How is this not? How are they not coming after him?"
It's real easy because I'm just so damn sexy. That's all it is, man. Come on. Hey, there should be multiple points during the day where you sit back and kind of say to yourself, "Damn, I shouldn't have said that."
There is, but generally speaking, it's nowhere near as bad as the stuff that you say, and you don't think that. At least I don't think you do.
I do. There's been a couple of times I'm like, that might come back and bite me in the ass, but never. It hasn't so far.
I mean, and to be fair,
it has before in other jobs, but
right. And to be fair, a lot of times, a lot of the employees we work with are pretty good humored.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Specifically, some of the younger women, they have a good sense of humor.
I think you have to deal with a lot of the stuff we deal with on a daily basis.
We work with a lot that don't have a good sense of humor, and if they heard what you said, even to somebody else, they'd be like, "I'm calling the boss."
Yeah, I for the most part, I know my audience.
Yeah, I guess that's the key. But I'm honestly when I work with you, even if it was just you and me talking, I'm just like, oh my God, why did he say that? How many F-bombs? Because Nick's voice carries too.
Yeah, I got a big fucking mouth.
How many F-bombs can he say before somebody hears him and says, yeah,
I've had somebody say something to me about my language before, but
but it was somebody who's good humored and would just say,
yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Hey man, I like having a good time when I work. I try to keep it lighthearted and
I agree. I
try to create an enjoyable work environment.
I like it too, and believe me, I understand. I'm sure I can tell you at my old job, I was worse than you are here.
Oh yeah, but what I can say is something I learned a long time ago, Ian, and that's you could almost say whatever you want to say to somebody, just as long as you have a smile on your face when you say it. I mean, I can call you a cocksucking bastard, but I got a smile on my face when I say it.
Oh, thanks, Nick.
So I kind of disarms
smiling, so you said it. You said it nicely.
I did. See, but I don't know. It's kind of true though. It's like if you say something with a smile on your face to kind of disarm somebody, they obviously know I'm not being malicious when I say things to them.
No, nothing like you've ever said.
When somebody asks me for something and I tell them no,
right?
I do it anyway. They know I'm going to do it, but I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah. Well, when you and I are working together and you say no, I usually do it because I'm a nice guy.
That's true.
I just do it. I'm like, no, Nick, don't be a dick. Which is like asking the water not to be wet. So
and then when you say that, the other person that's standing there kind of laughs about it, and then we kind of all have a fun time.
Exactly. Yep. Plus, I think they're all just used to you being an asshole, which I am too. So it's like,
hey man, it's I've said it for a long time, man. Just as long as I can admit it and you can accept it, that's all that matters.
Well, we've been friends a long time. I guess I've accepted it.
Hey, look at it this way, Ian. We've been friends longer than the internet's existed.
That is true. And to be fair, we've been friends longer than a good percentage of our coworkers have been alive.
That's true.
That's even scarier.
Well, that's all I got, man. Do you want to add anything else before I end the show?
No. No, I was gonna bring up the blank conversation, but that worked into the conversation very well. So we're
The
good.
what?
The blink argument you were having with. I was gonna bring that up. I was
Oh,
planning
yeah,
on
yeah.
bringing that up anyway.
Yeah,
so.
because I forgot all about it. But even though I
Yeah.
was really all pissed off about it, I think I was texting you about it, wasn't I?
You were texting me,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
fucking cocksucker bastards. But
So, yeah.
I'll kind of leave it off as saying this. If you, like I said before, if you're a record collector, if you're a vinyl collector, somebody that enjoys physical media, go out there and support your local music shops and kind of and help them through this pandemic.
Right.
Make sure
if you
help them make sure that they're able to come through this and have a long, sustainable future.
Absolutely. And if you don't have any record stores near you, check out the links below because we're going to put some links into some of our local places that will ship to you.
Yeah.
At least as long as you're in the U.S. I don't know if they do international.
No, they're not. I know Dearborn Music does ship internationally, I believe, but they've got free domestic shipping right now. So
yeah, there you go.
If you're in the continental United States, you can get free shipping.
Yep. So
there
you go.
But any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@lifeandjournalpodcast.com. Check us out on Twitter @LIGpod. We're on Facebook, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, just about everywhere else.
YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube,
that's
click
true.
The like button and subscribe.
Absolutely. Give us a like down below. Isn't that what they do in the videos?
Yeah.
Down below.
Yeah. Give us a like. Give us a like. Click the subscribe button. Click the notification button. All that stuff. Click all that stuff. Except for the down. Don't do that.
Double click it. Wait.
Double click.
All right.
And leave comments. Love to hear them. So
yeah. Maybe Ian will get something to respond to.
I'd love to.
Some hate comments. Ian likes hate comments.
Bring it on. Again, we've been friends a long time. I must be a glutton for punishment.
All right, man. Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, the niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub, hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you the god, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas who down for that party. Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear to God, nigga, this Molly got me up and rolling. These bodies of water. Bring that shit in bottles. We mosh at the party that hit when we start.